Hello everyone, welcome back to our My 2017 series with our decorative box. This is where we left off last time. Our reference images should have textures all attached to them. If you happen to boot into Maya and they are not on, make sure you have this little texture node turned on, otherwise they'll appear like this, which is white. And keep in mind that every viewport has this texture, has all this this UI on the top here. This one works for each um, of the view or the quads here independently. So if it's white like this when you jump in here on these guys or in any of your views, each one of these works independently from the other. So if you don't turn them on, they are not visible. It'll just come out as a white background. And they just do that to optimize your computer's processing power. Okay, so in the last lesson, we got these all done. We're going to use this cube that we dropped in here in the middle here. This will be what we're going to use for the decorative box. I was using it before just to make sure that the orthographic images here were behind, or were in front of the camera, not behind the camera, so that way we can see what we're modeling. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and name this cube here. Make sure we're naming stuff. Mesh decorative box. Okay. The outliner icon's right here. If this isn't appearing for you, if you're looking at something like this, make sure you just tap this one here, and this will bring in your outliner. Okay. We'll make sure that everything in our projects are named. If they're not, then it gets confusing to anyone you pass this project along to. You just end up having a bunch of primitive names in the outliner. Okay, so let's just go ahead and jump right into here. We're going to go ahead and take our cube here, and we're going to shape it to where it fits the shape of our decorative box here. So I'm going to jump into my 4-panel view. So you can press this button here, or you can press spacebar. I'll just press spacebar now. Again, you can tell, like, so if you look over here, and this is all white. This may have been kind of confusing for you initially if your, let's say, like, if this was turned off and maybe grid was off, these would just be like a white. So if you end up with something like this, make sure you use your scroll wheel and zoom out, and then make sure you turn on your textures so that you can see what's going on here. Same thing with each one of these. Make sure that each one is zoomed out and the textures are turned on. Okay. Now, if you want to make it to where you can see mainly in just one view, you can just press spacebar with your mouse in any one of these windows, and that'll make it to where this view will take up most of the real estate of your screen. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll start with the top, and I'm going to select my box. Okay. And you know what? I'm actually going to backpedal 1 second here really quick, because if I accidentally select this behind here, I can accidentally move these decorative or this reference image, and that would not be good at all if we're modeling based off the reference images. So what we're going to do is we're going to create what's called a layer. So underneath this little tab here where it says Channel Box Layer Editor, we're going to create this little plus sign here. This is a layer, so we'll go ahead and click on that. See, this is layer 1. I can give myself a little more room, just off to the side. Okay. Go ahead and double click this. This little edit layer box will pop up. Now it says name. I'm going to go ahead and call this one reference. Don't give it any spaces. These layers don't like spaces. You have to use underscores if you're going to do that. So I'll just put reference there. I don't need any kind of color codecs, so I'm just going to hit save. Just be done. I'm going to zoom out a little bit more. I'm going to select each one of my reference images, and I'm going to right mouse button click on this layer here, and this little floating box will come up. It'll say add selected objects. That's what I want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and add those in. And that'll make it to where now I can do two things. One, I can just turn these off if I don't want to see them anymore. So I can just click on the V here. I'll turn visibility off. Click V, it comes right back. If I take this right now, turn it from P to R. I'm sorry, the P needs to stay on. There's this third icon. This is a little different than if you've used My 2015. The P, or this third icon here, didn't used to exist. So it used to just be these two. So nothing means that you can still see them, you can still click on them. But if you click on T, now they're templated. You can't click on them now, but you also can't see the images on them. If you click on it one more time, so template makes it to where you can see through it. It's good for if you're going to be working on a big complicated 3D model where you need to be able to see through the object and not accidentally click on it. It kind of gives you an X-ray mode that stays on. Reference makes it to where you can see this object, but you can't click on it, which is what we want, because if we're going to model this box, we don't want it be clicking on the box and I accidentally click on the reference image and accidentally move the reference image or distort it. Okay, so that's how that works. Now we've put some safeguards in place. Now we can start modeling. So I'm going to go ahead and jump back into my orthographic. Let's start with my top view here. I'm going to select my box, and I'm just going to scale it to where it fits the box. So not the gray. I'm not trying to fit the corners here. I'm trying to fit it to where it matches the decorative box inside the picture. So I'm just going to hit R for scale. You can also hit this icon right here, and that'll turn on your scale tool. I use my hotkeys primarily, so you won't see me pushing those buttons. Okay. Now, if this box is in the way where you can't see the picture behind it, there is a button right here. It says, if you look down here, I'll tell you what these do. But if you hover over the top, you'll see it says X-ray. Okay, so now you can see through it. That's good. So now you can see where the stuff is supposed to start and stop, right? Alright, so that looks like it's just about the right size. I think. Matches up there. Looks like it needs to come down a little bit, so I'm just going to go ahead and move this one down a little. Let's check the sides. So it needs to be a little bit wider. Okay. Okay, that's good. Now, one thing I don't want you to beat yourselves up about, now this is something that people who use reference images to begin with get really frustrated with, is they try to make it to where everything matches up perfectly. Like this is supposed to be some kind of engineered object. Now, this is not a SolidWorks program. We are not building things that are going to be 3D printed. Well, usually not going to build them for 3D printed. If you're going to be doing engineering work, you're not going to be wanting to use Maya. You're going to be using something like SolidWorks. So keeping in mind that this is going to be an artistic type animation or model, we don't have to make it where everything matches up perfectly. Just get pretty close, and then you can use your own creative license to fill in the blanks. So don't get hung up on the details like that. It'll just take away all your time, and you'll just get frustrated. Because usually pictures won't line up perfectly in 3D. You'll find that there's going to be always a little bit of discrepancy going on. Okay, so next we're going to go ahead and turn back on X-ray from this. So what I did is I kind of just jumped through and didn't explain myself. So I went back to my forward panel view here. I went over to my side view, hit spacebar so that now my side view is now my full screen view. Okay, and now I'm going to elevate this up a little bit because I want it to be near the top of the box. I'm going to turn X-ray on so I can see through. Okay, that looks good. There we go. And now let me explain myself again. So scrolling in and out, I'm also using Alt and the scroll mouse button, which is the third button. If you press that in while holding Alt, you can grab the screen and drag it down. That's what I'm doing here. Alright. I want this bottom here to line up with this. I'm not trying to go down to the feet because I'm going to model the feet separately. So I'm going to go to hold down, over the top of, let's do channel box and push. There we go. Okay. Holding your mouse over the top of your object that you're modeling right here, hold down right mouse button, you'll get that floating menu. I want to go to vertex mode. And that'll make it to where these little pink dots are on the corner. Those are your component vertexes, which are the corners of your polygons. Now I want to make it to where this is level at the bottom here. Now, this is a word of caution here. If you're new to modeling, you select this one vertex here by just clicking on it and moving up. You'll see how it gets this gray kind of darker slat here. The reason why is because you only got one corner of the decorative box. You didn't get both corners, so we're not working symmetrically here. So I got to undo that. So I'm going to hit Control Z. That'll put it back to where it was. Okay. And I'm going to do instead a marquee box around this. So marquee box is when you hold down left mouse button and drag and you get this little dotted stuff. That's called a selection box or a marquee box. Now I'm going to do a marquee box or selection box around this vertex here, and that will give me both vertexes on both sides. So I'll select that. I'm going to do the same thing on this side, so I'll get both sides selected at the same time. That way it moves up level. Alright, so I'm just going to drag this one up until it reaches the bottom, which is right about in there. Okay, that's good. Let's check the top now. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do the top all at the same time. So I'm going to hold down left mouse button and just drag until I get both of them. Okay. Alright, that looks good. And let's go ahead and check the sides, make sure the sides are about as close as I can get. That's okay. I'm mainly just checking the bottom because it's got this curve to it that I'm not going to be able to get with this little amount of geometry. I'm too low res right now. Okay, I'm going to bring this off to the side there. Okay, that works for that. Okay, so I'm happy with my side view. Now I have to do the front view. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my floor panel, press spacebar on my front view. Now I'm in my front view. And I'm going to turn on X-ray. Okay, there we go. Alright, so now you may notice that the bottom doesn't quite line up as it did before. And the reason why is because these pictures aren't perfect. And most pictures always have some kind of discrepancy that isn't just perfectly lined up. So you're just going to have to decide, do I want it to be perfect on this one or perfect on the other one? I'm just going to say that I'm going to leave it as is, so I don't have to do extra work. And I'm just going to fit the back to where this works. Okay, so that's good. Alright, so now my box is framed in based off of my reference image, and I'm okay to work forward now. Okay, so let's go back to our perspective view. Okay, excellent. Alright, so now we're going to get into some of Maya's modeling tools. We're going to add them to our shelf. So our shelf should be empty. In previous lessons I've done this little shelf. It's called Coral's Modeling Shelf. If you happen to skip that one, go back and check it out. It's pretty simple. You just go over to here and go and do new shelf, name it, and add your tools by holding down Control, Shift, and left mouse button. That's what we have. So far all we have on here is FT and CP. Those stand for Freeze Transformations, Center Pivot. Okay. We're going to add some modeling tools now. We're going to add into it. We're going to go to Edit Mesh. And we're going to, if you look down here, you see how it says Components, Vertex, Edge, Face. Underneath Face, actually, you know what? We're going to go to Mesh Tools. I'm sorry. They moved a couple things around. Well, there is one over here, but we'll go ahead over Mesh Tools as well. No, I'm sorry. We're going to go back here. We're going to grab the Extrude Tool. That's the main one we want. Now, if you're familiar with my 2015 and 2014, 2013, they all had this kind of thing, whereas the Extrude Tool was underneath Vertex, Edge, and Face, and each one worked a little bit differently, but they all kind of worked the same. So now they just put underneath Components, so it's a little bit different. So I'm just going to hold it down, Control and Shift, and add the Extrude Tool to my shelf. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look and see how that Extrude Tool works. So we're going to start out with the top, or the kind of components that we're mainly going to extrude are going to be the faces. So you can't extrude anything. I highly recommend never extruding the vertexes. There's no real reason to do that I've ever found. Edges, you can extrude, but you need to kind of know what you're doing and why you're doing it to be extruding edges. Don't ever extrude in object mode. If you extrude in object mode, that'll extrude all component types at the same time, which can destroy your model. So let's go ahead and do an extrude with this one. So let me backpedal just a little bit because I was doing stuff while I was talking. If you hold down right mouse button, get that component floating menu going on here. We're going to switch to face mode. We'll select this top face, and I'm going to show you how this extrude tool works. So we're going to hit extrude. Okay. and you get this new little gizmo up here, right? And it looks like kind of like the translate tool, but it has some other stuff going on. The circle going around here is indicates your rotate tool. So if I was to click on it, it'll switch to the gizmo to where it has now these tools that look like rotate, right? So I can rotate, which seems a little erratic, mainly because it's just in place. But if I want to click on the move tool and move it straight up, now all of a sudden I can build up my geometry a little more. Or if I clicked on the end, you see how there's those little boxes on the end of the arrows? That indicates your scale tool. So if I clicked on one of those, it now is in scale mode. So if I grabbed this teal one in the center, I can now shape my box. Now this is how you can actually get in here and start rounding off some of this stuff, right? Okay. So I'm going to backpedal out just a couple, because I want to show you guys something that I want to make sure you guys are careful of. So I have extruded. The extrusion is still in there. You can see here underneath inputs, it says poly extrude face 1, but I haven't actually done anything with it, right? So, but what if I would go and hit extrude again? Oh, look at that. It says poly extrude face 2. Okay, but nothing's really happened. If you grab this face here, I can still pull it up, right? And you think that you're all good to go, but really there's still this other extrusion that's going on the inside, because you don't have all of it. There's two extrusions going on there, right? So those are some things you got to be careful of, because if you start pulling on certain areas, you can find those extrusions that are not actually done yet. You see, if I pull over here, there's that hidden geometry on the inside there, and this kind of stuff, where you've double extruded, you'll find later on, because you'll try to smooth something or translate something and it'll be broken because you have geometry hiding on top of itself. So just be aware of that. Anytime you extrude, make sure you move your geometry, otherwise you can end up having broken geometry that you have to go take apart to find out where it is. And there's methods to fix it. It's just so time consuming that it's just good to have good workflow going forward. Okay. Alright, so let's go ahead and use that first extrude and just kind of jump right in here. Okay, so we're going to go to our 4 panel again, and we're going to go to our front view here. Just going to bring it down a little bit, just like so. And okay, so you can see I still have that extrude going on there. So I should be able to grab this one face here, right? And let's just check. We're going to go and scale that one face. See, there it is. And you see how it's scaling together, but it's still flat over here. Then on this view, and it'll also match in this view, I can now lift this up to match the height of that, right? Okay. Cool. That works. I might want this one to be a little bit lower though. If you look at like where the rounding ends here, I might want this to actually be a little bit lower. So I'm going to switch to my vertex component type. I'm just going to do a marquee box around the center one here. I'm just going to lower it down a little bit. Okay. That's good. Alright. That's a good little introduction to our Extrude tool. So we got one new tool so far on here. 2 other tools I want to add in here are my bevel tool and my insert edge loop tool. Those will help us finish our model. So we're going to go to, let's see here, bevel. We're going to add that one in. So Control Shift, left mouse button, add it in bevel. The other one is insert edge loop. Let's see here. Where is it? Offset edge loop. Because I'll have to check that InterEdge Tool in a little bit. I thought that it was still right underneath Edit Mesh, but apparently they have moved it. So I guess I probably should have checked that before I went and started making my video. But I can finish where I'm currently at, and I know where another spot that we can use is. So we're just going to go ahead and use the bevel tool for now. So, oops, careful there. Don't want to have the whole object selected when you click bevel, otherwise that will happen. See how I just beveled everything? Looks kind of cool, but that's not what we want to have happen. Otherwise it creates what's called n-gons. N-gons are anything that can be more than 4-side polygons. In this case it might not create n-gons, but it does create triangles. Okay, so what I want to do though is I want to select this top edge here. I'm going to click bevel. Okay, and I'm going to go to where it says poly bevel 1 you see over here. I'm going to open this up underneath the inputs. I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and there are some options in here we can go ahead and mess with, like where it says segments. Right now it's set to 1. Let's go ahead and put in, let's say 10. 10 looks like too many. Let's go with 6. Okay. Fraction, you can go ahead and mess with that a little bit, maybe 0.3. 8. Okay, that was okay. Yep, I'm content with that for now. Okay, so next, let's go ahead and use, there's another option we can use. So the InterEdge Tool is not exactly in the spot that I remember it being, but they do have it inside the modeling toolkit as well. And we can go ahead and use that as well. Underneath, I think it's multi-cut. Yeah, so multi-cut will let you go ahead and chop and put, from here to here, whatever. But if you hold down Control, it gives you the same kind of option as your InterEdge loop. Okay, so that's kind of cool, right? So if you go ahead and just left mouse button click, it drops in this new line of geometry, which is good. But before we do that, I want to make sure that we're dropping in where we want it to be at. Because what I want to do is I want to create a feet here. So I'm going to go to my orthographic views again, spacebar. Okay, so again, make sure you're underneath the modeling toolkit. You have your multi-cut tool turned on, and holding down Control, I'm going to drag my mouse across. And nothing's being clicked. If you hold Control, this is just automatically going inside your viewport, so you shouldn't be clicking anything quite yet. I'll just drag this to the left until I see like this is where my foot is on this side. So I'm just going to go ahead and left mouse button click right there. I'll go ahead and add one on this side as well. Okay, so that's done for this side. Now I have to flip to my other view. So I'm going to go back to my front view over here. I'm going to do the same thing. Okay, so Control, left mouse button click, left mouse button click. Alright, that's good. And then we're also going to take care of this one right here. This guy is going to be where the opening to our decorative box is. Actually, you know what? We're going to do a couple. We're going to do one right here, and I'm going to hit Q to exit this because I want to actually use this edge loop here to help shape the side of my box before I start adding in more geometry. So I'm going to hit R to escape out of that multi-cut tool. You'll see edges are still active. So I'm just going to double click this edge here, and I'll select the entire loop going all the way around the decorative box. So just double click left mouse button on this one, and that will allow me to get the whole loop. Hit R for scale. And I'm just going to use the red box here, that is my X axis, to push this out a little bit. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing a little bit higher. So I'm going to turn my multi-cut tool back on. See how this little tool is right here? This is the last tool you use. So you hit G as well. G will bring back that last one. So hit G. Oh, that's weird. Huh. Let's get a little quirk. We'll just go ahead and add it in this way then. Hit Control, left mouse button, and then use R and just scale that out slightly right there. Okay. I'm going to drop one more edge loop right in here as well. Q, hit R, and just scale this out slightly as well. Just a little bit. Alright, this one's being a little bit of a pain, so I'm just going to grab the vertexes and manually move them. There we go. Okay. Let's go ahead and check the front view here. Okay, looks like the same kind of deal here. I'm going to grab these guys. I'm just going to scale these ones out just a little bit, give it that little bit of rounding that I need to have. There we go. Okay, that's good. Also, I noticed that these guys here looks like these ones both need to be moved off to the side a little bit, and kind of looks like okay. So I'm going to show you guys another little trick here. There's a tool called Soft Select. So if you go ahead and double click on here, you'll see that there should be, let's see here, soft selection. Just activate soft selection. Bring it down to maybe 1. Let's go ahead and move this off to the side here. Looks like 1 might still be a little bit too much. Let's do 0.5. Okay, so basically what I want to do is just move this off to the side a little bit. And match up with this a little bit better. Okay, maybe just move it up just a little bit. Okay, let's check the other view and see how that looks. From this angle, that's okay. Okay, turn soft selection back off. And just so you know, every one of these tools has that same kind of tool setting that you can go ahead and manipulate. Okay, I'll go ahead and take these guys, move them off to the back a little bit. Same thing here, just going to move this one off to the back. These ones here don't really matter so much. This one does. This one I'm just going to move out just a little bit so we can match that curvature. Okay. These ones I'm actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring this up a little bit. I'm going to use my scale tool. I'm going to scale these together just a little bit. Okay. Now what I need to do is I need to create 2 edges to hold this little wedge. If I bring these vertexes in, it'll bring the whole side in. So I need 2 more edge loops right here and right here. So when I move these ones in, that this whole side is retained. So I'm going to activate this tool again. Hold down Control. Go ahead and add 1 loop there. 1 loop there. Okay. I'm going to grab the vertexes right here and just translate them inward like so. Okay. I'll just bring this one up a little bit. Okay. Alright, so that's pretty good. Gotta tweak this a little bit. I'm going to scale these ones even more together a little bit more. So I'm going to scale these so they're just a little bit tighter. Okay. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my insert edge loop or multi-cut tool. I'm going to add one last one down the center here. I'm going to exit out of that tool. I'm going to go to edge mode and double click the loop so I get the whole loop. And I'm going to scale this loop in. Okay. That's all I need to do there. Go to object mode. Go back to perspective. Okay. It's looking okay. Not too bad. So what I did there is I just basically made it to where now there is this little indentation where the lid's supposed to come off, even though the lid's not going to come off in this one. I can close this up even a little bit more if I wanted to. So if I want to grab this one and just bring it down a little bit. There we go. Alright, so there we go. We've modeled the majority of the decorative box. We're going to preview this really quick. So if you select your model, hit 3, that will give you a smooth preview. You can see some of it's being held, but you know, it's still a little soft, so we'll add in a little bit of geometry a little bit later on to help hold that. And in the next lesson, we'll also build in the feet and start working on the texture. So we're a little over a half an hour in, so we're going to take a break here, and I'll see you guys in the next lesson. Thanks for watching.